Hey everyone. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about something we get a lot of questions about, which is data security, financial security, and just general privacy matters with regards to hiring and working with a virtual assistant. So first, a bit of context here. We've hired thousands of workers, and I would say the number of issues we've had with this over the years, I can count on one hand. There's a variety of reasons for this, how we screen people, how we hire people, how we review them, etc. But regardless of that, it's always useful to be smart, strategic, et cetera, with regards to your data security, your financial security, and just general privacy matters when you're hiring anyone new, regardless of whether or not they're a virtual assistant and working with you remotely, or whether it's someone who's in person with you in your office. So with that in mind, I'm going to go over 5 tips about all this stuff for you to keep in mind. So let's jump right in. Tip number 1, don't give access to sensitive files or accounts, particularly financial accounts. This is just good practice. Maybe it goes without saying, but don't give anyone access to your bank account, your PayPal account, your Stripe account, or any other financial account where people could move around money, right? So other accounts you might want to limit access to, or data that you might want to limit access to, would be sensitive client lists or any sensitive business documents or accounts more generally. In essence, just use common sense here. But if there's anything that's really sensitive, don't give anyone access to it. Tip number 2, consider tiered access to certain accounts. So what do I mean by that? A lot of different companies that deal with their clients' data, and that data is sensitive. So for instance, on the financial side, PayPal or Stripe, social media companies like Facebook, or content management companies like WordPress have this system of tiered access. So basically you can have users who are at the admin level, that would be you, and then you have users who are at a slightly lower permission level. This is particularly useful with regards to access to financial accounts. If you need your VA, this can be extremely useful. If you need your VA to be able to send out invoices or track payments or do bookkeeping, so they do need access to, say, your PayPal account or your Stripe account. Those platforms have tiered access. They have different user levels. So keep yourself as the administrator, check out what are the permission levels of those different user accounts, or of those different user types, and take advantage of those to give your VAs access, but to limit the permissions that they have. Tip 3, scale up access to accounts, to files, etc., as the trust builds. This is a key principle. In other words, on day 1, you definitely do not want to be giving your VA or anyone else you hire in any context access to sensitive files, documents, accounts, etc. After several months, or after a certain period of time, as the trust builds, as you get to know that person, as they get to know you, etc., once you feel comfortable with them, once you have that trust, then sure, feel free to scale up that access. But don't start out with access level 8 of 10. Start out with access level 1 and scale up to those higher access levels as the trust builds. Tip number 4 is you can use LastPass to actually share passwords without revealing them. So first off, let me start by saying this is not always necessary. I would say that most of our clients don't actually do this. But if you're extremely privacy conscious, this is an option. So basically, as I mentioned in a prior video, LastPass has this interesting feature which allows you to give someone access to an account, so say your Facebook account or your WordPress account or whatever it may be, without ever actually sharing the precise password with them. It's pretty interesting.
Let's say you want to give your VA access to a particular website or account. So I'm just going to go to that website that I want to give them access to. I've just opened up a sample website here, the Washington Post. Now up here, if you have LastPass installed, it'll usually be installed as an extension on your browser. So you basically just go up to your browser here. I'm just going to refresh the page. I'm going to go up to my, the extension up here, and then I'm going to click on LastPass, and it's going to show me that I have 2 different accounts associated with Washington Post. So I'm going to go down and I'm going to click on the particular account that I want to give my VA access to by clicking on this little pencil. And then it's going to open up a more detailed view of the account details, including my username, and it's going to show the password, although I'm not going to be able to even see my own password unless I click on this little I here. So let's say that I now want to share this password with my VA, And I don't actually want them to be able to see the password either. I do want them to be able to log in to the website or account, but I don't want them to actually be able to see the password. So I'm going to go down here to where there's the small little icon of two people that says share. I'm going to click on that. Then I'm going to put in the VA's email address here, and then I'm going to click share. Now, if I don't care whether or not they see the password, I can click allow recipient to view password. I can check this box here. But if I don't want them to see the password at all, I do want them to log in, but I don't want them to actually have the actual password, then I would leave this unchecked. So that's how LastPass works in this regard, and it's quite a useful little feature.
Tip number 5 is that an NDA is fine if you want to have your VA sign it, but it's rarely necessary. So sometimes we get the question, hey, can I have my VA sign an NDA, non-disclosure agreement? And in short, the answer is yes. There is a certain percentage of our clients. It's a very small percentage. I'd say it's less than 1 or 2%. Will have their VA sign a separate non-disclosure agreement. And so I know a number of them just don't necessarily even pay for a lawyer for that. They just Google NDA, sample, revise that a little bit for their particular use case, and have their worker sign it. This is quite an uncommon occurrence, but it can happen. Now, what I would mention is that in our worker agreement, this is the agreement that the worker signs when they're hired by us, when we hire them, they have to we protect you in a whole variety of different ways. So they're signing an agreement about that have clauses related to non-disclosure, related to non-solicitation of the clients of their clients, that relate to intellectual property, et cetera. So we cover a lot of your bases in that regard. But if it does give you peace of mind to have an NDA signed by your worker, you're welcome to do it. It's not something that most of our clients do, but we don't have any issue with it. Okay, those are our 5 tips. Hope that's useful, and see you in our next video.